All right, we are live. All right. One thing in life is all about progress, right? You know, I was sending a message to one of my friends, and I was basically just, boy, Vay, you better not, motherfucker, you better not. Shit, people that drive fucking erratic at this time, oh my god, dude. Alright. Basically, this dude was going super fast and he was in my lane. I'm like, dude, you better not hit me. Okay, he's past me now. See, I don't understand. Like, it's 1 a.m. There are no cars on the road. Like, what is the point of driving erratic? I don't understand. I do not understand. Like, this is peaceful time. There is no traffic. There is no cars. That's why I like working these hours. There is nothing on the road. It's peaceful. It's beautiful. But anyway, so when it comes to life, right? When it comes to life, you have to constantly be building yourself, right? Now, suffering is one of the key parts of life. We all suffer, right? And I was sending one of my friends basically explaining all this, I was explaining that everyone suffers, everyone has their own battles, but you got to remember your battles that you face are personal. You cannot inflict pain on others, because you don't feel good or you're in a tough situation. Because guess what? Everyone's in a tough situation. Every single person is in a tough situation. But it is up to you, the individual, to keep your battle personal, because that's what it is. Your battle is personal. It is no one else's business. You shouldn't be inflicting pain on innocent people and disrespecting them with negativity because your battle is so bad. Listen, when you amplify your battle and you inflict pain on others, you're only making the battle worse, because guess what? The person that you just were very negative towards, or the amount of people that you were negative towards, guess what you just did? Their battle became a part of your battle now, because you intervened with their battle. You destroyed what peace they were trying to keep in the public eye to let people know that they weren't suffering. You interrupted their peace. So therefore, you caused a turbulence within their battle. So therefore, you made yours worse. That's why people who are the most... Y'all ever been around like someone who is so negative? Like so negative, like just being around them is misery. Just being around, they don't even gotta say 2 words to you. You can just feel it. And like, that's because those are the kind of people, those are the people that are just always mean to people. The people that are always mean, every time you come at them with something nice, like they always have something to say. And they always try to get a reaction out of you. Those are the kind of people where, you just feel it. And you're just like, wow, I just don't like being around that person. I mean, they don't say nothing to me or nothing, but I can just feel it, Like, I can just feel it. Now sometimes it's not the case, Sometimes, because some people are delusional and stuff too, so, But when you are constantly progressing yourself and you're not focused on anyone else but yourself, which is how life is supposed to be lived, that's when you can start to detect all that stuff. But you see, the people who just continuously observe others, talk about others, those are the type of ones where they can, they would be the ones that would be paranoid. I don't like that guy. Because a lot of times when it comes to people who gossip and talk and all that stuff, like just talk bad about everyone and blah, 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 blah. The ones, when they point out, they'll be pointing out someone like me. Someone who, is trying their best to stay strong in life and just be positive and just be a positive impact. Because face it, you're interfering with, with them stirring the pot. You're bringing peace when they're trying to disturb everyone so they can feel stronger temporarily, But when you're focused on yourself and that's all you're focusing on in life, and you're just focusing on being good in life and just keeping your battle personal, that's when you can really tell when someone's just bad to be around and someone who's good to be around. And, I honestly enjoy, people who are very, that they don't, you can tell they have a bright light on them, but they don't talk, I love befriending those type of people and just getting their light to be even brighter, that feels really good. But, like everyone's in a battle. Every single person is in their own battle. Everyone is trying to battle their battles the best that they can. Most of the time, people cave in the temptations of this world and they just get comforted during the battle. But those type of temptations and stuff, they just interfere with your battle, and it echoes, basically. You're comforted and content with your temptation and your bad habits and all, but it does like an echo effect. So pretty much the battle's on hold when you're dealing with bad habits and temptation. But the thing is later on, when you don't got those temptations, it comes at you like an echo, and then out of nowhere it all comes in one, but it's going to be like 10 times, 100 times harder, But always keep in mind, every single person has their own personal battle. That's why it's best to just be a positive impact on life and, just be an ally with everybody, because we're all in our own personal battle. Battles are personal. But it's when you inflict pain on others and you let your battle spread to other people, like you're some kind of a virus, well, you're disturbing the peace within that person's life. Because guess what? They're going to get like sense of anger. You don't know if you're going to be hitting their last button. There was a movie my mom and dad were watching. I wasn't really paying attention to it because it looked like it was kind of a horror film. I can't be around that stuff. But it wasn't too bad of a film because it wasn't like, demonic or anything like that. It was just a guy who had road rage, and just because she honked her horn at him, like the guy was literally out to kill her. Like, that's what I mean. You never know when someone is about to explode. Everyone is in a personal battle, and you don't know when their time is where they just give up completely. And that's why it's just best to just be just as positive as possible in life, because we all have battles, Everyone has a battle. But when you can identify that your battle is personal, and it's important to carry yourself in a certain demeanor, in a positive demeanor wherever you go, because basically if you do not carry yourself in a positive demeanor, you're announcing to everyone that the battle is getting to me. The battle is getting to me. You're showing vulnerability. Therefore, people can take advantage of you. That's why, like, for example, a lot of your men, your men, you know what I mean? I hope you guys can hear me posing when I do that. Men. Yeah, I'm a man. Yeah, I'm a man. That's why they always are holding their head high, and they're just doing their best to look the part. Like nothing bothers them. But those are your cases to where they're living in denial. They are in a big thing of denial. Denial. And you can identify that they're suffering, but the thing is, with normalized society, oh, he's fine. No, he's fine. No, I never seen him cry. No, never seen him do that. Never seen that. See, we confuse people who are desensitized as being okay just because they say, "Yep, I'm fine. Yep, I'm fine. Yep, I'm fine." See, we take that as in like, yeah, he's fine. No, he's not. But we don't know how to identify it. Well, normalized society don't. But when I see someone who literally, holds their head high and just, you can tell they're suffering, they work hours on end. They got usually they have an alcohol problem or some kind of problem that they're functioning, but they're functioning alcohol or they're a functioning pillhead or they're just functioning with their habits, and they look the part. They look the character that you want to see. That means those are the worst ones. Those are the worst ones because you don't want to know what they look like behind closed doors, because I guarantee you, if you see what they look like behind closed doors, it's something that you probably never seen unless you were raised around it, Because the thing is say, when they have company, they automatically got to get into part. It's like the cameras are rolling, like they're on movie. Like they're home, usually when it comes to someone who is a functioning addict or something, or, they go straight to the couch or straight to, comfort zone, and they just sleep until it's time for them to get back into character. You know why it is like that? Because it is so mentally draining to be something that you're not. That is why functioning addicts have such a problem, when it comes to being home and they don't really have a life. Their life is their addiction. And they always have to get into part when it is time to get into part. So if you were to make a surprise visit to their house or something, they're automatically going to get into a part. Oh, cameras are on. All right, scene, go. Oh, a knock on the door. Hello, how's it going? Yep, just woke up. How's it going? Good to see you. Yep. And as soon as that door goes, oh, why the heck did they come over? I need to go back to sleep. That's exactly how it is for someone who is a functioning addict to anything. They have to continuously be put in character, and they have programmed their mind that create an illusion, and then pretty much their cries for help will never be heard. They turn into the boy that cried wolf, basically. Because when things get really bad, and it's very rare for them to come out and say something, but some cases, when they're in severe, where they just feel like they can't even get into character, everyone starts seeing a side that they've never seen. And that's the brain just giving up. They're tired of holding on. Just let it out. I'm tired of it. That's why, a lot of your elderly people, ones who have, been around, crazy times, around, the Depression and bullcrap, whenever they hit old age, their brain gets tired of being put in the character mode because, they lived back in a time where you couldn't vocalize your mental health at all. You couldn't vocalize none of that, because if you did, you get sent straight to an asylum. You couldn't do nothing. But with old age, your brain gets so tired of putting on a character because it takes a lot of work. And they end up turning into a completely different person. And usually what they turn into, it's more childlike because of corruption that happened in their childhood. That's why it is important to come to peace with your past while you can. Because if you had a very troubling childhood, it's going to do an echo effect. And there is a chance that when you get elderly, that child is coming out. And it's going to come out in a time where, it's going to shock everyone. Because your brain is just tired of putting on the front. Like, that's what I mean. When people hide their mental health, like, you're draining your inside, you're deteriorating your inside. And yeah, it takes a lot to break the brain because, the brain is such a complex thing. But eventually, it can hit its breaking point. It can hit its breaking point. And with age, it does it well. Because your brain will make sure that you're not going to stress when you're getting close to your time. If they can feel it coming, it's going to show a side that they've never seen. And that's usually why, like, when people who have, functioning addictions and stuff like that, when they're like close to their deathbed, they start to reveal side of emotions and crying and just everything coming out, just showing a side that everyone's not used to. Listen, when you do that, you are causing so much damage to everybody who is close to you. Because you know what? You're interfering with their peace. They're like, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you tell us? But the thing is they're going. They're getting it out. They don't want to leave holding on anymore. So they're going to do their best to let everything out as much as possible. And then death comes. That's why it's best to get everything out while you're living and just come to peace with your past, because it does catch up and the echo effect is a real deal thing. But yeah, we all suffer. And one thing that I'm noticing, when you start to get close to, what you're trying to achieve in life, that's when the suffering gets really hard. Temptation gets really heavy, Temptation gets real heavy when you're at the peak of success and achieving what you need to achieve. Oh yeah, temptation comes heavy, and you're going to be very tempted to break, because the amount of suffering that it takes to get to that top point of what you were trying to achieve, there is a lot of suffering. There's a lot of suffering going on. But you got to stay fighting it. You have to stay fighting it. But you got to remember, guys, suffering is a part of life and it's a part of progress. The point of living is to progress. It is to progress. Not to live, but to progress. Because within life is nothing but progress when it's lived correctly. This is a do-it-yourself project. There is no other body. There is no other person. There is no competition. With you focusing on yourself and doing everything to keep peace within yourself, sure, eventually someone will come around that can match your energy, and then you two become like a big impact, basically, like just one big giant impact, and you guys can achieve enormous amounts of things together. But you only achieve that once you do what you were put here to do. But every single person is here for a different reason. I can't tell you why you're here. But I'll tell you this right now. If you're suffering a lot and it's getting really hard, you're either probably at rock bottom, or you're close to rock bottom, or you're close to achieving what you need to achieve. There's two sides of it. There's a rock bottom, and there's the achievement, the peak of the mountain. And then through that, it's a big, giant climb. Yeah, sure, when you get off rock bottom, just start living like a typical life. Oh, man, this is pretty easy. But then you find out you're just living a repetitive routine every day, and it just feels like it's all right. But soon you come to identify that I'm not really doing anything. I'm just doing the same thing. I'm just trying to stay happy all the time. But you got to remember, life is not all about happiness. Life is all about the whole trail of emotions. It's about battling the negative side of emotions, like when you start to feel anger and all that other stuff and wanting to inflict pain on other people and stuff. It's a battle, because to achieve greatness within life, you have to go through large amounts of suffering. Large amounts of suffering. And, one thing that, helps me, the subject matter of death. I was talking about it today with one of my friends today. I love talking about death. I could talk about death all the time. Like, I can talk about it all the time. Like, it doesn't bother me. I love the thought of death. I love the thought that I could die tomorrow. I love the thought that I can die just driving, I love the thought. I love the thought, because when it comes to the definition of death with me, I see no more suffering. See, that is one thing that you guys got to realize. When you are put here on life, you are suffering. You are feeling every single thing known to man. This is all saying you are alive still. You can still touch and feel and smell. But with death, that stuff goes. There is no more stress. There is no more any of that. There is none of that. That is why death is nothing to fear. Let death be your motivator. Because that's why I constantly tell myself, like, when I can sense myself getting very tired, but I know that there's still a lot to do within myself for that day. I just say, I could sleep when I'm dead. I could sleep when I'm dead. Suffer now. Rewards later. Sleep when I'm dead, Because when you die, you can get as much sleep as you want. But life is temporary. When you learn about the definition of time and the definition of life, you really do see how limited your time is on here. And when you can acknowledge that you can go within the day that you are alive, or you can go tomorrow, when you can acknowledge that constantly, that becomes your motivator. Because then you're going to be asking yourself, why am I doing this knowing I can die tomorrow? Or why am I doing this knowing I can die today? You'll start questioning a lot, and you'll be like, is this really what I would want to be doing before I die? Like, you start questioning everything. Death is my motivator. Death keeps me going. And a lot of people think, man, he's a negative guy. He just loves death. He has his death date tattooed on him. Like, man, he is a negative guy. And it's like, no, I'm not at all. I acknowledge for death for what it is. Life is nothing but suffering. But that's a part of progress. You're put here to be put to the test. This is all a test. Every single part of it. Now, you have an option. Are you going to get into the comforts and temptations of life and what it has to offer? Sure, it may feel good right now, but the long-term effect is detrimental. Very detrimental. And the amount of suffering that you were dealing with ends up looking like nothing down the long run when you continuously partake in the comforts and temptations of this world. But if you battle it out every day and you deal with the suffering, you end up seeing that there are great rewards, and you end up starting to see the beauty in life. So later on down the road, when you start seeing the beauty in life and everything, and you start to see yourself not stressing, you suffered for a reason. There's a reason why we suffer every single day. Because there's greatness to come from the suffering. Like, you got to think of it like, the greatest materials in this world are created by pressure, Life is nothing but pressure, And you got to keep pushing through the pressure. If you don't push through the pressure, you're going to have just a solid mass on you. And what are you going to do? Just find ways to adapt and get comfortable and just let the mass stay on top of you? Or are you going to push the mass out of the way? Because see, in a sane individual that can acknowledge all this, they're going to be like, I got to keep moving. I got to get this mass off of me. I got to get this weight off me. Like, I got to keep going, because that's what it is. Have you ever noticed when you start to continue to find comfort, you notice when you find comfort in life and everything, and you just kind of just go at ease on everything, you notice a lot of weight is on you. But you're mentally telling yourself, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. You continuously put yourself down to find comfort. I just need to be more comfortable. I just need to be more comfortable. I need to start partaking in more of this, that, and the other. I just need to find comfort. Like incorrect. You got to get moving. You got to get working. There's a reason why we are all here. I mean, there's a reason. We are all here for a test. All here for a test. It is one big test to see how much you can put up with. Until you are you going to put up with it until you achieve what you were put here on life to achieve? Or are you going to put up with, the structure of society and just become what society has molded you into becoming? Because, see, there's two ways of achievement and success. There's two different parts of it. There's a good side and there's a bad side. There's a good side and a bad side to everything. That's why the yin and the yang symbol is a big representation to a lot of things. Because you can be a solid success, but did you do it because that's what society told you to do? Or did you do it because you felt that was necessary? Now, don't go blowing people's mind, because if you have someone who has created a success in this man-made dysfunctional society and you blow their mind, it could be detrimental for them, because then they're going to be like, I lived a whole lie. I lived, my life just doing what I didn't want to do, and I just ended up thinking that it was just a part of life, You don't want to do that. Do not break, do not hurt. See, that's one thing that people don't understand. Like, when I tell you that we are all suffering, we really are. We always are suffering, Like the people who let's just use it as an example, because it's one that I can just really clearly visualize, as like people who get into fistfights, say you're winning, you're taking out all that past aggression out on someone else, just taking it all out, you're feeling stronger than how your past was, you're feeling like you're overcoming it in that 1 second, of just nonstop fighting, but the guy who's losing, he's having flashbacks of maybe when his dad used to beat the shit out of him, or he's literally just an inner child on the floor, just taking a big beating, and he's trying not to cry because, say his dad was just telling him, you don't cry, boy. You're a man, boy. You're a man, boy. So he's just taking this beating and trying to prove to society that I'm this man. I'm a man. I'm structured to be a man. I'm structured to fight back. I'm structured for this. That's the corruption that we put in our children at a very young age. We desensitize, especially our men. We desensitize our men at a very, very young age. But the thing is they are suffering. So anytime you see someone getting into a fist fight like downtown, and say they're losing, they're having extreme flashbacks, unless they're completely, zoned out on drugs and alcohol, that maybe they just can't even acknowledge what's going on because they done blacked out and everything. But handling it sober, or, definitely they're going to have flashbacks. Definitely. They're going to have flashbacks. And depending on what the abuse may have been, is whether they're going to submit to it and just accept the beating, or are they going to get up and fight back, Because abuse, there's, that's like a big whole spectrum in itself. Because abuse can go from severely bad and, just a minor. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But abuse in general is bad in general, And But that's what I mean. They don't understand any of that stuff. They don't understand. But as we get older, we are suffering heavily. That's why we are more sensitive as adults. We are way more sensitive as adults than we were as kids. Because as a kid, you still got that inner instinct where you can just continue to find happiness, until you meet that last part to where you've just been desensitized and scolded so much, there's no joy in it because your brain cannot find any more happiness, because every time you find something to find happiness, you just end up feeling like crap later on. So you just stop trying because your development process is just trying to get into a defensive state to help you survive the environment, which creates like schizophrenia and all that other stuff, PTSD and all that other stuff, because your brain cannot find happiness. Now, for example, this is going to explain why people do animal abuse, For example, like, I know it's very big within kids too. That's why, like, for example, my angel, my Lexi, I know how kids are. Because I used to be one of those fucked up kids. I used to be one of those kids. And I know exactly how they are. And I would not let anything harm my Lexi. No fucking way. No fucking way. But the reason why they do that, the reason why kids do that, is because they're constantly scolded for expressing any kind of emotion. And when they do, they're beaten, they're told not to do that, blah, 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 blah. But yet they look at mommy and daddy loving on the dog. The dog can show all the emotion in the world. Yet the kid, he tries to do, or she tries to do, the same thing, but they get scolded for it, they get scolded for it. And that makes them want to inflict pain on what's allowed to do that and what's not allowed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, they start to compare themselves to that life of that dog that is expressing. So therefore, the kid's going to want to inflict pain on the dog. That is the cycle of animal abuse. And that's what creates these adults who get into like dog fighting and stuff, because, they have complete control over something that naturally finds happiness in the environment, because literally that's how it is. See, like, when a dog is injured, because, I don't want to put too much imagery in someone's head, or like, put anything inside their head, but like, with a dog, like if it takes any kind of injury or something, you'll notice the dog is smiling and panting, and it's just trying to find happiness, and survive through this. And it's looking at the brighter side. That is a natural instinct that they have, and that's one thing that animal abusers can definitely, they like to get away with that, because they can basically control the dog's happiness, and they want to get it to a point to where it no longer does that, but it takes so much time for it to develop to where it doesn't do that, and that's why it's just continuous, it's forever continuous when it comes to a dog, because it's natural, because they look on the brighter side of things naturally. But if you got a deranged man, beating the dog, and then showing it love and affection after beating it, the dog is constantly thinking while it's getting beat, okay, I'm going to get loved after this. 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 That's what I mean. Like, no matter how long you beat that dog, he is still going to be loyal and by your side. Because at the end, after the beating, he gets love. He gets affection. And basically, animal abusers, they basically do that until the point to where either the animal is completely desensitized, which it takes a lot to completely desensitize an animal. It takes a lot because their natural instinct. That's going to take a lot. That's going to take a lot. But the thing is when you completely desensitize the animal, I actually don't know anything past that. I'm only going on by what I have seen, through like videos and documentaries and all that stuff. Like, I wouldn't recommend watching a documentary on like dog fighting and all that stuff. Cause see, I used to watch that stuff because, I was completely desensitized to everything. Like, I was completely desensitized to everything. Like, nothing really bugged me. And I was just, sometimes I needed to feel good, and I would just go on, like YouTube and just watch these odd videos and just continue down the list until I just felt satisfied. But the thing is it was like a never ending cycle of watching like, slaughterhouse videos and all that stuff. And I was just never feeling full. Like, I've watched them all, and that's the sad thing about being so desensitized is, you continue to expose yourself to it because it used to help. But once you've seen it so much, it don't do anything. That's when you're meeting severity, because usually when people exceed their limit, of other things, there are times where they go to actually doing what they have seen in those videos, and to be honest, that would have to be a different podcast because that's a very broad subject matter. Geez, how did I even get on the subject matter anyway? But yeah, I try to watch, about like, dog fighting and animal abuse and all that stuff, because I know how the brain works with imagining what people see. And that's the last thing I want to do is implement any kind of, demented, twisted imagery, in someone else's head. I mean, what I was exposed to in my, through the stuff that I've watched and everything, like as a kid and stuff, like I wouldn't want someone to see that stuff. Heck, I wouldn't even want if I knew who I was as a kid, I wouldn't want me to see that. But, society cripples the men, into thinking this is manly. This is, oh, wow. I remember my friends when they sent me this snuff film and they're like, wow, James didn't cry one bit. Like James watched the whole thing. And I'm like, so what? I'm like, what? What's so cool about it? What's so cool about this? Like, I don't understand, And the thing is now, like, geez Louise, that stuff is like, it's on the surface. It's on the surface of internet and stuff. And it's very alarming because that's one of the reasons why I had to get off Facebook, because I used to watch, like the animal videos and stuff. And like, when I started getting therapy and they were telling me stop watching stuff like that. And, you got to stop watching that, and then you go on Facebook and what do you see? You see see one of those posts about, oh, this animal got beaten to death with a brick or something, or this person drowned the dog, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I used to click those things just to see if I'd have any kind of reaction to it, because that's really why you watch it after, your child stages and stuff. You want to feel, but you don't know how to feel. You feel amused from what you're seeing, but you don't know how to feel what you are seeing, which that is a very high chance of severity when it comes to no empathy. And when you have no empathy, everything feels empty to you. Every single thing feels empty. And I know how that fucking feels. I know how it fucking feels, and it fucking sucks. That's why when I went back, came to peace with everything in my fucking past, I told that therapist every single thing that I could fucking remember. And when I remember when we found the inner child, we found him. We found him. The way that I picture, therapy is like the therapist has like a lantern, right? Has a lantern. And they're taking you back. They're going through all this sludge and grime, and, they got your hand, and, they're trying to just rummage through it, and they're looking for body part pieces of your childhood from where basically you were just obliterated as a child, because that's basically what we do to our kids. We kill them while they're young, so that way they're scolded and they're sculpted into a sculpture of perfection for man-made society. We don't want the kid to be a kid, because if the kid is a kid, he finds his identity and then he starts pursuing greatness. We can't have that in a man-made society. We need to corrupt the kid. We need to cripple the kid. We need to let them know how to live a proper life in this life form that we have structured, man-made. That's basically how it is, And so how I image therapy, you're coming back. You got to tell them every single thing that you can remember. And the thing is it gets hard. But you can remember a lot that traumatized you. You remember that stuff. And you tell them every bit of trauma. You tell them every single thing. You let them out. And then they ask you questions, like they know how to do this stuff. From the stuff that you give the therapist, they're going to be asking you questions to help you remember what happened before that. Now, what happened before that? And that's when stuff that you have blacked out, you start remembering stuff that you didn't even know you remembered. This is how crazy our brains are. And you start to remember stuff that you didn't even know you remembered. And then it starts to come like daylight, like a vision, like you see it. You're coming to peace with your past. And when you come peace with your past, you start to find all the child body parts of yourself. And once it's all put together, that's when it gets rough. Because I tell you, identity crisis, boy, that stuff sucks. It sucks. I'm talking about suicide rates were on high for me because I didn't know who the fuck I was. I did not know who the fuck I was. And it was the most scary thing ever, man. I swear, I didn't know who the fuck I was. Now, imagine you come to peace within your 20s. That's not that much life. You come in peace. You got a long life ahead of you. Now, say you wait till you're 30. Say you wait till you're 40. Say you wait till you're 50. And you have an identity crisis. That could end detrimental, man. That could end detrimental on high. Because it's a lot to take in. Because the thing is when the therapist takes you back. And that's why people don't like going to therapists, because they know what they're doing. It's the person that don't know what they're doing because it's unknown to them. And the thing is we are programmed to fear the unknown. But the thing is, the unknown that society is structured to hide from us actually brings peace. And the thing is, when you find peace within this man-made structure, which we call society, when you find peace in that, you're going to notice there's a lot of corruption, a lot of suffering. You can see everyone who suffers. You can see everyone who has a bad habit. For example, how many people do you know smoke? How many people do you know drink? How many people do you know that have a prescription problem? How many people do you know that just have some kind of a bad habit? I mean, for crying out loud, I have known people who are addicted to cough medicine, man. People are addicted to all this type of stuff that's not looked down upon at all. It's just normalized. Oh, yeah, I take cough medicine to go to sleep. Yeah. Well, now we got melatonin. But like, before melatonin was the big thing, there were a lot of people taking cough medicine. Like, and they were addicts to that stuff. They would get the strong stuff too. Like, that's what I mean. Like, wait a minute. Where am I going with this? I totally forgot where the fuck I was going. Where was I going with all this, man? Ay vey. Oh, yeah. But yeah, when you come peace with your past, well, once you get over the hill of the identity crisis, depending on the severity. I know with me, I was literally a fucking kid, yo. Well, I mean, I was a kid as an adult anyway, because I was just suffering. I was a kid who was just tired of being structured. I was tired of it. And pretty much I was basically very immature in my head as an adult, very immature in my early 20s, very immature. And, but a lot of my actions and stuff were just cries for help. It was cries for help. I remember, gosh, me and one of my friends, I was showing her some old videos. I don't know what made me show, but like I used to wear a headdress and everything. Like, I just made my own headdress. I remember I made that and I would always be wearing that. I wanted to be seen. I wanted everyone, because I was basically trying to find, everything that was told that, you don't wear that, you look silly, you look goofy, you don't do that. I'm trying to find my identity. See, that's what one thing that people don't understand when people are, saying, oh, that's a delinquent right there. He always acts out or something like that. It's a cry for help. They're going the opposite direction of what their parents have molded into them, or their guardians, or that society has molded into them. They're going the opposite direction. They're not a delinquent. They are suffering. They are crying for help. They need help. They want to find who they are, but they don't know how to. All they know is that they don't like where they are. They're 20 years old. They're filled with energy. They don't know what they are. They are confused. They are lost. High school is over. Life isn't what it seems. They're lost. They're just lost. Which means that they start doing stuff that is just abnormal. Acting ways that are just considered abnormal to society and the family and all this stuff. Just being completely different because they're trying to find meaning. They're trying to find meaning. They're being able to identify. It's a defense mechanism in the brain, like telling you, this isn't right. This isn't right. We need to explore outside. Explore outside. Because, like, for example, like, I had an obsession with, like, Bollywood films and Bollywood music. Like, I was looking in over in the Middle East and all this stuff, like, just watching their films and everything. Just, I found their headdresses to be cool and, like, just everything that I did not see, like, because I could identify something's not right. I don't know what it is, but what was really not right was I wasn't comfortable with myself. Because the thing is, society don't teach you how to be comfortable with yourself. Society teaches you to be codependent on being structured. We're taught that at a very young age. It's implemented in our brain. And, when you don't pick up bad habits, because, I mean, that's why, turn 21, woo, time to drink, yeah. That's kind of why that's so heavily advertised. If you think about it, the age of 21 is just another year. See, society is molded for a high percentage to get excited about alcohol because that's when the addiction starts. That's when the addiction starts. And then, through partaking with alcohol, you're going to meet people who might smoke and everything. And, so then you just become a social smoker. You only smoke when you drink, blah, 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 blah. Like you're just continuously, just finding ways to comfort yourself. So your mental does not freak out like someone who was considered a delinquent, Because you'd be surprised of how many people whose actions are very belligerent end up being because of mental health. Because they're tired. They're tired. Like, they're just tired of holding back. They get tired. They get restless. They become manic, like all that stuff. And it's because of how we have been structured as a kid. And that's what people just don't understand, how important the development stages for a child is. Like, really, it really is. But a lot of people override it because that's what we're taught. We're taught that, oh, your kid's fine, just being a kid. Kid's banging his head on everything. Just a kid being a kid. Yeah, I found out that's a manic episode. Because I used to do that as a kid. I used to have manic episodes as a kid. Now that I know that that's a manic episode, but banging your head violently, like on the floor, on the wall, like that's a big cry for help. Of course, now we have advanced, when it comes to mental health. So they'd be able to identify it. But back then in the day, like in the 90s, for example, like it's just a kid being a kid. I used to do stupid like that too, Yeah. Yeah, it's just a kid being a kid. Yep. But like, the reason why you have an episode like that is because your brain does not like the environment in which it was put in. It does not like it. So basically, it's a defense mechanism. Your brain don't know how to act, So it freaks out because you're just a kid. You're in a big world of stuff that you don't know, and you're having a big manic episode. And you have no idea what's going on. You don't know what is going on, but you have parentals or something that's watching over you that is supposed to know everything. But the thing is a lot of the parentals and guardians, they mask their stuff with alcohol, pills, smoking, and all that other stuff. It's just a kid being a kid. Yeah, I used to do stupid shit like that too. Yeah, when I was a kid, yeah. Oh no, he's gonna bang his head real hard one of these days. He'll learn. Yeah, he'll learn. And they start to find humor in it because, that's what we're taught too. We're taught to laugh at our own dysfunctions and instead of doing something about it. Yeah, man. Did you see that stupid shit I did the other day, man? Like, say they were freaking out or something because, like, they just had enough. Like, maybe they were like just having a day where they were just going off on everyone, and then they look back on it and they just, yeah, man, yeah, I didn't have any alcohol. I didn't have no money for any alcohol or any of the drugs that I needed. So I was just kind of wigging out, being stupid, like just making, jokes about it. So, when you find laughter in your own dysfunction, you're not going to get any help because, that's what we're taught to do. We're taught to do that. We're taught whenever we were doing all that not to get any help. We're okay. But the thing is what we don't understand is that what we are partaking in, that creates a big uproar within the environment wherever we go. People don't understand that. They don't understand that. Man, I can go on and on talking about this stuff. I really can. That's because, and the thing is, I didn't even find out about the banging of the heads to be manic until, like, when I was in my interview with one of the places where I was going to go get a position at. During the interview, they had a phone call where the woman had to cut the interview off real quick because she got a call, and it was a person violently banging their head on stuff, and they had to send an ambulance over there, and they had to take him to the hospital because they were going to get sent away. They weren't fit to be in society. Basically, they needed to heal in a medical, like, just a hospital. They're taking them back to a hospital is what it sounded like. But yeah, I overheard that, and the woman was telling the woman that that's a manic episode. We need to put him in the hospital. Because we need, right now, your focus is to keep them from hurting themselves. You know? And see, that's what I mean. A lot of people who are suffering like that, they're let go from their family because their family, involves themselves in alcohol and cigarettes and pills and just mask everything, They mask and basically just tell themselves that everything's fine because they believe they say that everything's fine, it'll just go away or it'll just be ignored, sweep it under the rug. But that poor kid that you fucked up in your life, they end up getting, disconnected from their environment. They end up getting disconnected from the pack, because they're just too different. What do you mean you don't want to drink? What do you mean you don't want to smoke? Boy, you got so much issues. Why don't you do anything like that? Why couldn't you just be normal? Why couldn't you just be normal? You need to get the fuck out of my house. I swear, I can't stand these manic episodes and all this stuff. You need to get out the house. Those kind of people, they end up getting abandoned by their family. And guess where they end up? They end up homeless. And then they end up running with a pack of homeless people. And then guess what? They end up getting in darker stuff than what they could even do because, end up getting in darker activity, and all that stuff, living in Tent City or something like that, because they don't know. They're so mentally lost, And the thing is, there's so many people that don't even know how to get help. Because I remember when I first started getting help, I was helping people get help. I really was helping people, trying to get them to go to Advantage and stuff. Because once I found, how the miracle of how beautiful therapy was, I was just wanting to get everyone in therapy. And there were some people who had similar problems that I vocalized. And they were like, yeah, I got that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you could totally come to Advantage with me. I'll totally pick you up. And all that stuff, just wanting to just let everyone else see the beauty and come to peace with everything. Because I really started seeing the beauty in life as every single therapy session, I looked forward to it. I looked forward to going on the exploration to find my inner child and everything. I just found it so fun because I loved my therapist. She was the greatest and she knew what she was doing. And the thing is that she did everything with such a calm demeanor and everything. It was just comforting. And, it was just great. I loved it. Loved every bit. And I looked forward to every single session because I was wanting to see what else we're going to find. What else are we going to find? What else are we going to find? See, these therapists, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. But see, a lot of people, when they start doing it, first they're into it. I'm going to get better in this. I'm going to master this. But then when they start going deeper and deeper, and it's like the ocean. You know how there's so many levels of pressure within the ocean? You're going deeper and deeper and deeper. Well, the pressure becomes too intense. They start to freak out. The thing is you got to trust your therapist and you got to continue to keep going. But anyway, I'm going past 35. Time for me to head out. Y'all stay positive. I'm out and peace.